Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our Shabbat class, the 5th of July, 2025. Okay, the topic we'll be dealing with today will be the history of Adam's descendants from Enos to Jared. We're going to deal with that in the book of Adam and Eve. Right? We're going to read that and put it in perspective. Hope that it helps someone. Okay. And, the introduction to the Prophets of Awakening. You can go to our YouTube channel and check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the truth out, get the meat out. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. If you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. Okay. This is a non-Messianic channel for those that don't know. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer and our Deliverer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay, this channel was created in order to aid and assist all Hebrew Israelites who are waking up in these last days to their true identity. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our Shabbat class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence. Sabbath prayer, we have a song. We're going to read some current events, some need to know information. Then we open it up for any questions or comments, any dialogue. And our topic for discussion is something big is coming, and keep your eyes open to BlackRock. We're going to play that and then we'll break it down. And we'll kind of dive into discussions that we had on the women's line and then on the men's line. Kind of do a little overview of that. Okay, and then, like I said, we're reading out of the book of Adam and Eve, shining light on Enos and all that happened up to Jared and why it's so significant. Okay, then we'll pick a scripture, break it down, and then we'll close out. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongs unto Thee. Therefore, we come before Thee at this hour, seeking Thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before Thee as our servants David and Solomon, Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before Thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For we know You possess the power to turn us. We desire to walk after Thee, O Lord, and to keep Your commandments and Your testimony and Your statutes with all our heart and soul. Perform the words of the covenant that was written down by Your prophets. O Lord, allow Thy face to shine upon Thy people. Hear and do, O Lord, and hide not Thy face from us any longer, for we need You so very much at this hour. Peace be unto You. Okay, we'll read a song. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna read Psalm 52. It's a caution to the prideful wicked. Okay, it says, "Why boastest thou thyself in mischief, O mighty man? The goodness of God endureth continuously. Thy tongue devises mischief like a sharp razor, working deceitfully. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness. Selah, thou lovest all devouring words, O thou deceitful tongue. God shall likewise destroy thee forever. He shall take thee away and pluck thee out of thy dwelling place, and root thee out of the land of the living. Selah, the righteous also shall see and fear and shall laugh at him. Look, this man that made not God his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches and strengthened himself in his wickedness. But I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the mercy of God forever and ever. and I will praise thee forever, because thou hast done it, and I will wait on thy name, for it is good before thy saints. So I'm gonna read verses 8 and 9, because it speaks to us today, right? I'll read 7 also, which says, Lo, this is the man that made God not his strength. It's the rich folks like Gates and Elon Musk and all them, right? In the abundance of his riches, and strengthen himself in his wickedness. Then it says, but I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the mercy of God forever and ever. I will praise thee forever, because thou hast done it, and I will wait on thy name, for it is good before thy saints. So the Most High name is good for the saints. They praise in his name. That's their strength. And like he's saying, gonna wait on him. Not do nothing in haste or before it's time, but wait on him. Because he's the deliverer. We're not the deliverer. Okay? Any comments on that? Okay, so with that being said, we go to some current events, play them, and then we'll break them down as we go. Let me get this. Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much for joining me. The United States Senate has just passed the most sweeping domestic policy bill of Donald Trump's presidency. At a staggering $3.3 trillion cost, this legislative behemoth, or as Trump refers to it, the one big beautiful bill, is a political lightning rod. It is a policy earthquake and a financial time bomb all rolled into one. It passed by a razor-thin margin, 51 votes to 50, with J.D. Vance casting that tie-breaking vote after 3 Republican senators broke ranks: Susan Collins of Maine, Tom Tillis of North Carolina, and Rand Paul of Kentucky.
Vote. The yeas are 50. The nays are 50. The Senate being evenly divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
There was applause on one side and, of course, fury on the other side. Needless to say, not everyone sees it as a win, and it clearly may not be a win for the American people. So what's exactly in this monster bill? First, the big headline, $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, offset by $1.2 trillion in spending cuts. That's a not increase. It is an increase in the national deficit of $3.3 trillion over the next decade, over 10 years. And these figures are according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. Supporters, including Trump, are calling this a shot of adrenaline to the US economy. They're referring to tax relief for families, no taxes on tips and overtime, and massive incentives for businesses. Trump says, quote, "It is a great bill. There is something for everyone in it." But scratch the surface, which we will in just a second, and a different picture emerges. Despite Trump's attempts to sugarcoat this bill and the big ticket items that's in it, voters are not buying it. The American people do not support it. And so here's where it gets really controversial. Nearly $1 trillion in cuts are aimed squarely at Medicaid. Millions stand to lose health coverage. An estimated 11.8 million Americans could be kicked off Medicaid over the next decade. Work requirements, co-pays, and federal reimbursement limits are all on the table. What about food stamps? Those are cut too. Federal student loans cut. The electric vehicle tax credit also gone. A blow to the clean energy transition and a slap in the face to Elon Musk, once one of Trump's main vocal backers and, of course, campaign donors. Is there something for you that replaces those cuts? Surely there has to be something really, really great where the saved cash will go. And there is, yes, there is. Billions for the military and more for border enforcement. This is Trump's America First ideology legislated into reality. Less aid, more arms. Now, border enforcement is absolutely critical for national security. It is. But there has to be a responsible approach with a detailed and transparent cost-benefit analysis of how much is needed, what these immigration policies will be, what they are designed to do, and of course they must be constitutional, and there has to be full accountability and transparency. Lawmakers into compliance. He even stayed in Washington, skipping his usual summer retreat, of course, to close the deal. Golfing with Rand Paul and the notorious warmonger Lindsey Graham wasn't just a weekend outing. It wasn't just a nice way to pass time. It was a high-stakes legislative arms twisting. Trump's team knows that the optics do matter. He toured a Florida migrant camp nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz just as the bill passed the Senate. There, he clearly delivered a not so subtle message. We are serious about borders. We're not messing around, which is a good thing. But again, we have to have accountability. We have to have a clear understanding of what those policies are, whether they are constitutional, and somebody has to bear ultimate responsibilities if those policies fail. Critics argue that Trump's message is coming at a steep cost to healthcare, to education, to the environment, and to America's long-term fiscal health. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell warned just this week. He said this level of debt is sustainable, but the path is not. Now, arguably, both are out of control and past the point of being sustainable. Trump's defenders say that the path leads to growth, to more jobs, more money in your pocket. They're betting that tax cuts and economic stimulus will outweigh long-term pain. But here's the gamble. The pain is real, it is immediate, and it is felt by the most vulnerable groups of our population. What about the benefits? Well, those are theoretical at this point. Promise to arrive, quote, eventually, and this is according to GOP talking points. So what happens now? Well, the bill moves to the House, where it faces a divided Republican conference and a unanimous Democratic opposition. If even a few GOP members flip over Medicaid, EVs, or hospital funding, the bill dies. And if the House makes changes, it heads back to the Senate, threatening Trump's July 4th signing deadline. So it is quite a mess. But
okay, any comments on that? We know the bill passed, but anybody got any comments on it? Okay. Go to our next one. Okay.
Going exactly where we assumed he would, and he's now calling for the deportation of citizens. I mean, he kind of already did it with Bukele. He said, the homegrowns are next, the homegrowns. Not him, of course. He's a criminal. Donald Trump is a GTA character. Every day, another crime. Every day, another crime. Donald Trump has 6 stars that just aren't flashing. The stars are just broken. He's the criminal. We all know he's the criminal. Well, some of us know that he's the criminal, but the stars just aren't flashing. The police just aren't chasing. It's unfortunate. He is sitting next to the dog killer in chief, Kristi Noem, and the fattest fat ass to ever be seen in politics. But anyways, Trump is calling for the deportation of citizens. He wants to just imprison them and ship them off to God knows where.
A little controversial, but I couldn't care less. We have a lot of bad criminals that came into this country, and they came in stupidly. It was an unforced error. It was an incompetent president that allowed it to happen. It was an auto pen maybe that allowed it to happen, and it did happen. But we also have a lot of bad people that have been here for a long time. People that whack people over the head with a baseball bat from behind when they're not looking and kill them. People that knight you when you're walking down the street. They're not new to our country. They're old to our country. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here too. You want to know the truth. So maybe that'll be the next job that we'll work on together.
They're not new to our country. They're old to our country. Now, what ethnic group do you think he's talking about? I told y'all about this. I told y'all blacks were next. Donald Trump is speaking about videos, selected videos of some young black men committing crime, violent crime. He's talking about them. It's not most young black men at all. It's not most. It's not half. It's not most. And he's saying this group is old to the U.S. They're not new. There's only 3 groups old to the U.S. Indigenous Americans, Anglo-Saxons, and the LARPers that aren't from, England or Scotland who pretend to be WASP. And then you have black Americans. He ain't talking about the indigenous. They already ruined their lives so goddamn much. He's not talking about white folk. He's talking about black Americans. Donald Trump is talking about black Americans, and he's using the narrative of black crime as a reason by which to excuse deporting black Americans.
Pastor Manning. Okay.
They're not new to our country. They're old to our country. Donald Trump is not just threatening to deport. And by the way, we all know full and well, white Americans will fall victim to this as well. If they're his political opponents, he'll deport them as well. But this was a racial threat. This was a very clear-cut racial threat to black people, saying, you guys are criminals and you're old to this country. So I'm talking about you. You're not new. You've been here for a while. We're getting rid of you. He's threatening to deport black people. That's literally what that entire little clip was. They're not new to this country. They're old to this country. That's what's happening here. Black MAGA, where you at? Black MAGA, where are you at? Because if you think he'll just stop at the criminals, look at what's going on with Latinos for Trump.
Exactly.
They thought it was only the criminals. Now they're finding themselves being deported. The ones who aren't doing jack shit, but just being here undocumented, they're finding themselves deported, arrested, detained, disappeared, kidnapped. You think we're special? We're not. For those of you who are going for Trump, because FBA and ADOS and I got nothing wrong with black people who want to advocate for black Americans, but Trump is not our friend. I don't know what he needs to do to display this. He's not just talking about the criminals. He's not just talking about gang members in the inner city. He's not talking about street niggas. He's not talking about dudes that jumped off the porch. He's talking about all of us. All. Because if he can just decide who's a criminal, which he literally claims at his DOJ, they reserve the right to determine their own actions as legal or illegal. You have no protection from the courts. Once Donald Trump assumes full authority over this nation, he can deport black people if he wants to. And that might be his solution. Instead of just killing everybody, just get them the fuck out. It won't work long term. It'll cause massive societal mayhem for generations to come. But Donald Trump is probably looking to engage in ethnic cleansing by just shipping undesirables out of the country. Threatening to deport citizens, specifically black American citizens. And conservatives will co-sign this until they realize, oh wait, Trump's doing things we don't like. We want to stand against him. Some of y'all will find yourselves being deported. Some of y'all will find yourselves being disappeared. That is what will happen here. We will all find ourselves experiencing some kind of detriment from this, some kind of negative experience from this. None of us are walking away from this unscathed. The only demographic stupid enough to believe this long term is conservative white America. Liberal white Americans get it already. Liberal Hispanics, liberal black, everybody else clearly sees the problem ahead. Everyone else. That's the reality of it.
Okay, any comments on that? What you think?
Time to go.
Okay, say that again.
Oh, shalom. I said time to go.
Oh yeah, ain't that so? Word for word what Pastor Manning said?
That's exactly what he said.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. He said right down the pipe. He said in the very near future. They try to hold it off, but here it is. Everything he said is happening. Is that son?
Shal- yes, sir. Shalom. Um, in the meantime, all those ones who voted for the beautiful bill, they're not. There's some blacks within that group, and then the ones like he said, the mega blacks, they're in that group. So, and an election is coming up for those people. So what they thinking is going to happen, in the meantime. So we don't know the day or the hour that the Lord of Hosts is coming back. But in the meantime, these people, like they said, New York and all these other cities are going to be crumbling down. They also going to be within the mix. So he's pointing the fingers, and the ones in the back should have question on their jobs, their well-being that's with him. That's how I look at it.
Okay, yeah. So we looking at, like I said, they got a end time agenda that they concocted when they wrote the New Testament, and Most High prophesied through his prophets that what was going to happen at the end. And like I said, what we starting to see is the Most High's prophecy superseding what they're doing. Not only that, they working, they doing what he said they was going to happen. He got them doing that, but we can see that the Most High, we starting to see him, and his prophecy starting to supersede what's actually going on. So with that being said, we'll open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions, comments, any dialogue about anything they heard during the week? They heard on the women's line or the men's line? If they want to bring it up, talk about it.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom. Oh, go ahead, sis.
Just want to go back to that first portion of it about the Medicare, Medicaid, and how that's going to be, taken away from millions of people. It sparks. He knows to do that because that'll spark crime. The crime rate will really hit the roof when these people can't get what they need.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So with that being said, we're going to play this right here.
Is playing a very smart game here. He's, showing that he's reasonable, that he's willing to talk to Trump, he's willing to talk to Macron, and he's interested in peace and so forth and so on, while at the same time continuing to wage the war as vigorously as possible against Ukraine. And I think from Trump's point of view, he's basically flailing around. It's just vintage Trump. You want to remember that Trump has not solved one foreign policy problem that was on his plate when he moved into the White House. He couldn't even beat the Houthis after he promised us he was going to beat them. He wasn't able to defeat the Iranians, right? He can't shut down the war in Gaza in any meaningful way, hasn't been able to shut down the war in Ukraine. So he's talking to Putin in the hopes that maybe they can work out some sort of deal. But that's not going to happen because Trump is not willing to make the concessions that are necessary to bring this war to an end. I think it's been clearly established by people who operate with both feet planted on the ground that we did not totally obliterate Iran's nuclear capability. And Rafael Grossi, the head of the IAEA, has made it clear that it's just a matter of months before Iran is back to enriching uranium. And by the way, the Pentagon has said that it could be as soon as a year from now that they're enriching uranium again. So the idea that this whole system has been obliterated, the problem has been solved, and we can go about our business on other fronts is not a serious argument.
this is still sitting out there.
You just heard Professor John Mearsheimer, University of Chicago political scientist and one of America's sharpest critics of liberal interventionism, offer a brutally honest assessment. Trump has not solved one foreign policy problem. And more importantly, Putin is playing a very smart game. Judge Napolitano asked what Trump and Putin discussed in their recent call. Mearsheimer didn't know the details, but he knew the pattern. Trump talks peace, but never delivers it. Putin talks diplomacy while fighting hard on the battlefield. Let's unpack what Mearsheimer said and why this moment reveals so much about American decline, Russian resilience, and the failure of U.S. foreign policy. Mearsheimer doesn't hold back. Trump is basically flailing around. It's vintage Trump. That's not just an insult. It's a diagnosis. Trump came into office promising to end endless wars, to bring peace to the Middle East, to make deals no one else could. But where does he stand now? Still stuck in the war in Afghanistan, even after withdrawal, the conflict with Iran, the Gaza crisis, the war in Ukraine. He promised to beat the Houthis. Didn't happen. He promised to contain Iran. Failed. He promised to shut down the war in Ukraine. Still going strong. So when he calls Putin and tries to negotiate peace, it's not surprising that nothing comes of it, because Trump has no leverage. And worse, he has no plan. Just talk and bluster and empty promises. Then there's Putin. And Mearsheimer says something few analysts dare to say out loud. Putin is playing a very smart game. He's showing the world that Russia is willing to talk, even while continuing the war at full intensity. He meets with Trump. He sends diplomats to China. He engages with global South nations, all while keeping pressure on Ukraine and NATO. That's not weakness. That's strategic patience. Putin knows two things Trump doesn't: that diplomacy without military strength is meaningless, that the West is exhausted and divided. So while Washington debates aid packages and sanctions, Russia keeps moving slowly, deliberately, and with clear objectives. And the world watches, not as a bully, but as a rational actor in a broken system. Mearsheimer also addresses a major point: the Israeli attack on Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Did it solve the problem? No. In fact, it may have made things worse. As Mearsheimer explains, the idea that this whole system has been obliterated is not a serious argument. And he's right. Even Rafael Grossi, head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, confirmed. It could be as soon as a year before Iran is enriching uranium again. And the Pentagon agrees. So what did Israel accomplish? Nothing strategic. They sent a message. But messages don't stop nuclear programs. Only real diplomacy or full-scale invasion can do that. And neither is happening. So all we've done, we've provoked Iran, pushed them further into the arms of Russia and China, and made the world more dangerous.
Okay, any comments on that? Is Putin outsmarting Trump? Okay. Like I said, I got a topic for discussion. I'm gonna play that, we'll discuss that, then we'll go to we'll be reading out the book Adam and Eve, dealing with Enoch and Jared descendants. The reason I'm doing this is there's a lot of information that's been covered over. But when you read that, what actually happened with Enos, all the way to Jared, you understand that that's what's missing today. We don't understand the construct of the world. It's still happening, but we don't understand the construct of it. Let me play this first.
Hey, the channel. So I want to tell you a little story about what's coming, and I hope you'll stick with me, because this is not 1971 anymore. We're not going back to a gold standard, at least not in the way that we think about it. But what if I told you that the world's most powerful financial institutions right now are already preparing for a monetary reset. They're using gold not as a peg for a currency, but as a weapon, a tool to profit from this collapse. This story is about war. This story is about wealth and a little company that you might have actually heard of called BlackRock. Now, we've all heard the dream, right? Return to the gold standard, back the dollar with gold again, stability, value, real money, real tangible assets. We would stop all of our wars if we returned to a gold standard, but that's not what's happening right now. Instead, we're watching something even more dangerous and more profitable. We're witnessing the remonetization of gold, and it's happening behind closed doors right now. Just listen to former BlackRock portfolio manager Ed Dowd recently broke this down in a viral clip on X. He explained that central banks and massive asset managers like BlackRock aren't just buying gold to hedge against inflation. They're doing something far more strategic. Listen.
So they're remonetizing gold as money. So gold is going to be part of, there's going to be a coming monetary reset. There's going to be a new Bretton Woods, but I don't know when that's going to be, but certainly gold is going to be part of whatever happens. Gold, the central bank authorities are signaling that gold is becoming money again. Banks can now, buy it. Physical gold. I'm not talking GLD, the ETF or the futures. You have to have physical gold. If you have physical gold, you can lend against it. That's what Tier 1 capital lets. You can create money from gold now. After they took us off the gold standard in the 70s, they made gold a commodity. They're remonetizing gold. I think people need to understand that.
Yes, they're turning gold into collateral, remonetizing it, so they can actually lend against it. That means gold isn't just sitting in a vault anymore. It's actually being used to create new money and issue credit. It's like creating a shadow monetary system, one that doesn't rely on the dollar anymore, one that works when the dollar dies. So who's actually making this play? Well, look no further than BlackRock. So BlackRock is quietly buying tons of physical gold and silver right now. Why are they doing that? Because they know what's coming. They know that central banks are cornered. They know interest rate hikes can't fix the systemic rot. They know that in the next crisis, which may be already unfolding, gold and silver won't just be safe havens, they'll actually be power levers. And let's be blunt, BlackRock doesn't buy anything unless they're planning to make serious money from it. And when you combine that with what's happening in the Middle East right now, supply chain instability, oil shocks, inflationary pressures, it all makes sense. And here's the brilliance. And here's the danger of BlackRock's model. They profit when the world burns. You see, when Israel and the United States go back to war in the Middle East against Iran, which looks almost inevitable at this point.
That's what I was telling you. What the plan is bring the whole world to its knees, and then when they start bringing it back up, Israel gonna be in charge. America ain't gonna be in charge no more. Then from there is when they're gonna build a temple. That's the whole, everything we're looking at is what they're doing.
BlackRock will make a killing. Defense stocks, reconstruction contracts.
They did it with Hitler, with Napoleon. Ain't nothing new.
Energy infrastructure, they're positioned everywhere. They make money no matter what happens, but that's just the beginning of this. So to fund these wars, the US government then has to print more money. That means debt monetization. That means the dollar gets invariably weaker. We have to debase our currency. And I love that it's like storming right now, pouring down rain.
Okay, so any comments on that? What you think? So, like I said, I'm playing it for a reason. Just keep your eyes on it. They're going to use, like he said, they're going to use this gold. They bring down America, which is hinged off of the dollar. When the dollar goes, America goes. Then when you look back up, you're going to see Israel going to be in charge. These Edomites, the Rothschilds, Zionists. That's what they're doing. Okay. So anyway,
Shalom.
Yeah.
Yes. So by them mentioning this gold has no race, creed, or color. So it doesn't, it's going to be on every and anybody who does not have the the gold to stay sufficient in this economy once the dollar goes down. That's what he's saying.
Exactly. But who owned the gold?
I believe it's still Europe still have it. British people over there in Europe.
Yahweh,
The
Yahweh, Lord of
Vatican's.
hosts, Yahweh,
Okay.
Lord of
All right.
hosts. He gave the Israelites when they left Egypt gold. That's what I'm saying earlier. His plan is superseding theirs. All they doing is going along with his plan. He got them doing exactly what he wanted them to do. Because we see we getting ready to leave. We're gonna leave with great substance. What's that great substance? Gold. So he brought, you can see his hand in it. They can't see it because of who they are, but if you dealing with the scriptures and the Most High Spirit on you, you can see what they're doing. You see what's happening. He's bringing the gold standard back up. That's what he deal with. Silver. When you go to, let's look at it right quick. It ain't nothing, like I said, it ain't nothing new under the sun, like Solomon said. So it says, you go to Ezra right quick. This is our example. Chapter 1 says, Ezra came out now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled. The Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, put it in writing, saying, thus says the Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven hath given me all the kingdoms. See that? The Lord God of heaven hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth. So he owned. He owned the kingdoms. He's allowed Cyrus to rule over them. And he have charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judea. Who is there among you of all this people? This God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judea, build the house of the Lord God of Israel. He is the God which is in Jerusalem. And whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourneth, let the men of the place help him with silver and with gold. See that? Same thing we dealing with now. Ain't nothing new. Let them help him with silver, with gold, with goods, with beasts, and besides the free will offering for the house of God that is in Jerusalem. Say, then rose up the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin, the priests and the Levites, with all those in spirit. You know, this big right here too. All those in spirit he raised. He ain't raised everybody's spirit. To go up, to build the house of God, Lord. Then it says, and all they that were about them strengthened their hands. Here you go. Strengthen their hands with vessels of silver. So he gave, it's his gold. So he gave the Israelites vessels of silver and gold with goods and with beasts and with precious things besides that was willingly offered. Now here go the rich man right here, Cyrus. Just like we got the rich man now, Bill Gates and George Soros, all of them. Also, Cyrus, the king brought forth the vessels of the house of the Lord, which Nebuchadnezzar had brought forth out of Jerusalem, and he put them in the house of his God. Even those did Cyrus, king of Persia, bring forth by the hands of Mitra, the treasurer, right? Okay, and numbered them unto Sheshbazzar, the prince of Judah. This is the number. And if you read that, you see 30 charges ago. This gold beyond number right here, what we read. This is the number of them, 30 charges of gold, 1,000 charges of silver, 9 and 20 knives, right? So nothing new under the sun. We see the same thing happen again. He bringing the gold standard back because that's what he deal with. He own the gold. And it's time for us to go. We need to go. We did the same thing right there with Cyrus. Okay. So with that being said, like I said, I was going to deal with. Anybody got any comments on what we talked about about Nehemiah? Anybody have anything they want to shine a light on that? Just for GP, go back, edifying. Anything they want to talk about Gabriel? Anything they heard about Gabriel last night? Any comments, questions on that? Okay, so what I had, the reason why I'm reading this The reason why I'm reading the book of Adam and Eve, because of what we was talking about last night. It's some things that was taken out. They in the book of Adam and Eve, and it gives us precept upon precept actually on what actually happened in order for you to understand, like I just did. The gold is being risen right now because he rose gold back then. So what I'm getting ready to read for you to understand what happened from Enoch to Jared, because the same things is happening now, but we in the dark on it. Like you said, lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. People perish because of lack of knowledge and understanding. So we're gonna shine a light on what happened with Enos to Jared. Actually it's from Adam all the way to Jared, but I'm just gonna kind of to narrow it down to Enos and Jared. So I'm gonna start reading out of the book of Adam and Eve, the second book of Adam and Eve, right? So it says, when Enos was 900 years old, all the children of Seth and Canaan and his firstborn with their wives and their children gathered around him, asking for a blessing from him. So now let's look at that before we go any further. So we was reading the other day, and you got people that have some of these books, and they reading the 12 patriarchs, what they did, how that their children gathered around them right before they died. Where they get it from? Right here. So we know the story of that we read in Genesis when Esau and Jacob, Isaac was getting ready to die, and he had two sons. They gathered around him. This is why they're doing it. And so my point is this: we ain't doing it now, and we wonder why we catch so much hell. So when they gathered around them, the Spirit of the Most High was on them, on that elder, and he told them the things that was going to overtake them. Right? So that ain't happening now. We off tilted. That ain't happening. Ain't nobody gathering around nobody. It ain't happening. So anyway, it says when Enos was 900 years old, and all the children of Seth and of Canaan, his firstborn, with their wives and children, gathered around him, asking for a blessing from him. So I want to make this stuff plain. So it says when Enos was 900 years old, he getting to the point where he's getting ready to pass away. All the children of Seth. So Enos is the third from Adam. Cain killed Abel. Adam had Abel. Cain killed Abel. Then Cain knew Eve again, had Seth. So look what it says. When Enoch was 900 years old, all the children of Seth, see that? And Canaan, his firstborn, right, with their wives and their children, gathered around him, asking for a blessing. See that? Asking for a blessing from him. We ain't doing that. This is part of the curses. Say then too. Then he prayed over them. That we ain't doing that. Then he prayed over them, blessed them, and made them promise them by the blood of Abel, not JC. You seen any Negroes say anything about the blood of Abel? So it says, then he prayed over them and blessed them and made them promise by the blood of Abel, the just, saying to them, do not let even one of your children go down from the holy mountain, and do not let them make friends with the children of Canaan, the murderer. Now, I want to shine a light on this. This is super important. So they on this mountain. You got to understand, it's only 2 generations in past. You got Seth and Canaan. I mean, Seth and Enos getting ready to pass away. So they on this mountain. They separated. Just like when they was in the land of Israel later. Right now they're on this top of this mountain, living there on a plateau, and Cain's descendants is down below the mountain. That's your setup. That's how it is. So they're not dealing with Cain descendants. Today we over here, we amongst Cain descendants, thinking that we all got the same blood. But anyway, they was up on this mountaintop, separated from Cain descendants, these wicked ass people. So now this is what I want to show you. Let's look at it. They ain't on that mountain no more. They left that mountain. We're gonna read that in a minute. But anyway, so they was on this mountain. So what mountain is they on? Let's go. I'm in Exodus chapter 3. Okay, here you go. I'm in Exodus chapter 3. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, and the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, came to the mountain of God, even the Horeb. This is the mountain they on. Nobody else ain't gonna show you this. Okay, they're on Mount Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in the flame of fire in the midst of the bush. Right? And behold, the bush burned with fire, but the bush was not burned. So my point is this. This ain't Mount Sinai. So they on Mount Horeb. This is where they was at. What I'm getting ready to read. You got to understand that they on this mountain right here. But when Moses got there, all that already happened. But it's a history behind Mount Horeb. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's get back over here. So it says, okay. Then Enoch called his son Canaan and said to him, now this is another thing I want to shine light on while we're going. Then Enoch called his son, one son. You're going to see that all through it. He called one son, not no three sons. When Noah get off on the boat, he got three sons. They all got one son right here. The called son. Okay, so it says, then Enoch called his son, singular, Canaan, and said to him, look, my son, and set your heart on your people and establish them in righteousness and in innocence, and stand ministering before the body of your father Adam all the days of your life. After this, Enoch rested, so he died. Notice what he said. After this, Enoch rested and died. So if you think I just pulled it out the blue, when the Lord was talking to Daniel, he said, go thy way and rest. Die. Right here, same thing. It says, let me get it. After this, Enoch rested. He died. That's what that means. He was 985 years old. Canaan wrapped him up, laid him in the cave of treasure on the left of his father Adam, and made offerings for him, following the custom of his fathers. Following the custom of his fathers. Right? Now we're in chapter 15. After the death of Enos, Canaan led his people in righteousness and innocence, and his father had, as his father had commanded him. This is the order of Melchizedek, in case you don't know. He also continued to minister before the body of Adam in the cave of treasures. Then when he had died, he had lived 910 years, suffering and sickness came upon him. And when he was about to enter into rest, there you go again, die, enter into rest, die. All the fathers with their wives and their children came to him, and he blessed them. See that? We ain't getting blessed. And earnestly urged them by the blood of Abel, the just, saying to them, let no one among you, here you go, let no one among you descend from this holy mountain, and do not make friends with the children of Cain, the murderer. So this is what we don't know. That's the same mountain where Moses was there. Moses came to the backside of death, came back to this mountain. But we don't know the information of why he at this mountain. Okay, anyway, it says, Mahalalel, his firstborn son, received the commandments from his father, who blessed him and died. Then Mahalalel embalmed him with sweet spices and laid him in the cave of treasures with his father, and they made offerings from him as was the chosen of their fathers. Then chapter 16, then Mahalalel led his people, Melchizedek, and fed them in the righteousness and innocence, and watched them to see that they had no relationship with the children of Cain. Let me read that again. Then Mahalalel led his people, fed them in righteousness and in innocence, right? And watched them to see they had no relationship with the children of Cain. We living with them. Come on. 2. He also continued in the cave of treasures, praying and ministering before the body of their father Adam, asking God for mercy on himself and on his people until he was 870 years old when he fell sick. Then all the children gathered around him to see him and to ask for his blessing on them all before he left this world. Then Mahalalel arose and sat on his bed, his tears streaming down his face, and he called his elders. See that? He called his eldest son who came to him. He then kissed his face, said to him, Jared. Well, we got to Jared. Jared, my son, I solely urge you by him who made heaven and earth to watch over your people and to feed them in righteousness and in innocence, and not to let check it out, and not to let even one of them go down from this holy mountain to the children of Cain, or he will perish with them. That's my whole. Michael on my whole. So anyway, 6. Here, my son, there will come a great destruction upon the earth because of them. God will be angry with the world and will destroy them with the waters. So let's go back. 6. Here, my son, there will come a great destruction upon the earth because of them. Who? The Gentiles. Cain's descendants. The flood came because of them. Okay? Let that friend make. God will be angry with the world and will destroy them with the waters, right? But I also know that your children will not listen to you. Come on. This same thing, Moses, right? Like I said, it's nothing new under the sun. But I also know that your children will not listen to you, just like they didn't listen to Moses, and that they will go down from this mountain and have relations with the children of Cain, and they shall perish with them. My son, teach them, watch over them, so that no guilt will be on you because of them. Mahalalel continued saying to his son Jared, when I die, embalm my body and lay it in the cave of treasures by the bodies of my forefathers. Then stand by my body and pray to God and take care of them and fulfill your ministry before them. Right? His ministry is Melchizedek. Until you enter into rest yourself. Mahalalel then blessed all the children. Then he lay down on his bed and entered into his rest, right? Like his fathers. But when Jared saw that his father Mahalalel was dead, he wept and grieved and embraced and kissed his hands and his feet. And so did all his children. And his children embalmed him carefully and laid him by the bodies of his fathers. Then they stood and mourned for him 40 days. Okay, keep going. Okay, then Jared kept his father's commandments and arose. There you go. Then Jared kept his father's commandments and rose like a lion. Go to 2nd Ezra. Rose like a lion over his people. He fed them in righteousness and in innocence and commanded them to do nothing without his consent. This was because he was afraid for them that they should go to the children of Cain. So let's look at this. Then Jared kept his father's commandments and rose like a lion. So if you haven't peeped it out, the black man can act like a lion. This is why. If he act like a lion, it's a problem. You're going to come up missing or something. You're going to get killed and locked up in jail, whatever. He can't be no lion. So look here, it says, then Jared kept his father's commandments. Or you loud, you talk too loud. You know, you can't roar like a lion. I'm gonna mute you. Anyway, then Jared kept his father's commandments and arose like a lion over his people. He fed them in righteousness. Notice, righteousness go along with roaring like a lion. So he fed them in righteousness and innocence and commanded them to do nothing without his consent. This was because he was afraid for them, that they should go to the children of Cain. He gave them orders repeatedly. Let it firmate. He gave them orders repeatedly and continued to do so until the end of 485 years of his life. And at the end of these years, there came to him a sign, as Jared was standing like a lion. See that? Jared was standing like a lion before the bodies of his father, praying and warning his people. Satan, see that? Envied him and produced a beautiful spectacle because Jared would not let his children do anything without his counsel. Okay? So they got to get rid of the line. Satan appeared to him with 30 men of his host in the form of handsome men. Okay? Satan, hold on 1 minute. I'll get some more. Okay? Get it out. I'll say Satan himself was the oldest and the tallest among them, with a fine beard. They stood at the mouth. You don't get this in the King James, and definitely not in the New Testament. They stood at the mouth of the cave, called out to Jared, who was in the cave. He came out to them and found them looking like handsome men, full of light, very beautiful. He was in remember what he did to Eve? He was in awe of their beauty and their looks, and wondered to himself whether they might not be of the children of Cain. He said also in his heart, the children of Cain cannot come up to the heights of the mountain, and none of them are this handsome as these appear to be. And among these men, there is not one of my kindred, so they must be strangers. Then Jared exchanged a greeting with them, and he said to the oldest among them, my father, tell me how you are so wonderful, and tell me who these are with you. And they looked to me like strange men. 9. Then the oldest began to weep, and the rest wept with him. And he said to Jared, I am Adam. Check it out. I am Adam whom God made first. And this is Abel, my son, who was killed by his brother Cain, whose heart was influenced by Satan to murder. So let's look at this. This is Satan talking. So go to the garden with this understanding and go to the garden. This ain't nothing new what he doing right here. He did the same thing in the garden with Eve. So anyway, he says, I am Adam, whom God made first, and this is Abel, my son, who was killed by his brother Cain, whose heart was influenced by Satan to murder. And this is my son Seth, whom I asked the Lord to give me to comfort me when I no longer had Abel. So remember, Jared got these bodies in the cave. He got the bodies of his fathers in the cave. So anyway, the cave he just came out of. Then this one is my son Enos, son of Seth, and that other one is Canaan, so son of Enos, and the other one is Mahalalel, son of Canaan, your father. But Jared remained wondering at their appearance and at their words of the elder to him. Then the oldest said to him, do not stand there in awe, my son. We now live in the, check it out. We now live in the land of the north, of the garden, which God created before the world. He would not let us live there, but placed us inside the garden, beyond which you are now. So this is another dimension in the water. We're going to see that in a minute. So it says, after I transgressed, he made me come out of it, and I was left to live in this cave. That was when a great and horrible trouble came on me, and when the time of my death drew near, I commanded my son Seth to tend his people well, and my commandment is to be handed from one. My commandments are to be handed from one to another, to the end of generations to come. But Jared, my son, we live in a beautiful region while you live here in misery. Your father Mahala informed me that a great flood would come and overwhelm the whole earth. Therefore, my son, fearing for your sake, I arose and took my children with me, and I came here to visit you and your children. And I found you standing in this cave weeping, and your children scattered about this mountain in the heat of misery. But my son, as we missed our way and came as far as this, we found other men beyond this mountain who inhabit a beautiful country, full of trees and of fruits and of all manner of lush green vegetation. It is like a garden. And when we found them, we thought they were you, until your father Mahala told me they were no such thing. Now, my son, listen to my advice and go down to them, you and your children, and you will rest from all the suffering that you are in. If you would go down to them, then arise, take your children, and come with us to our garden. There you shall live in our beautiful land, and you shall rest from all the trouble which you and your children are now living in. But when he heard these words from the oldest, Jared was confused and went here and there. But at that moment, he found none of his children. Then he answered and said to the old one, why have you hidden yourself until this day? And the oldest replied, if your father had not told us, we would not have known it. Then Jared believed the words were true. So we're gonna stop right here for a minute because I want to show you something. So New Testament. You want to know who the author of the New Testament is? Look at this big ass lie he's telling right here. It says, and the oldest he replied, if your father had not told us, we would not have known it. Then Jared believed his words were true. That's what we at. We believe in the New Testament. Anyway, 23. So that the oldest said to Jared, wherefore did you turn about so and so? And he said, I was seeking one of my children to tell him about my going with you and about their coming down to those about whom you have spoken to me. And when the old one heard Jared's intention, he said to him, do not worry about that right now, but come with us and you shall see our country. If the land in which we live pleases you, we shall all return here and take your family with us. But if our country does not please you, you shall come back to your own home. And the old one urged Jared to go before one of the children came to ask him out of his decision, to talk him out of his decision. 26. Jared then came out of the cave and went with them, and among them, and they comforted him until they came to the top of the mountain of the sons of Cain. Then the old one said to one of his companions, we have forgotten something by the mouth of the cave, and that is the chosen garment we had brought to clothe Jared with. And he then said to one of them, one of you go back, and we will wait for you until you come back. Then will we clothe Jared, and he shall be like us, good, handsome. This is what he told Eve, right? Good and handsome and fit to come with us into our country. Then that one went back. But when he was a short distance off, the old one called to him and said to him, you stay here until we come up and speak to you. Then he stood still, and the old one went up to him and said to him, one thing we forgot at the cave, it is we forgot to put out the lamp that burns inside the cave. above the bodies that are in there. Do it and come back to us quickly. So I've got to understand this. This is the menorah. It's the menorah. So 32. That one went, and the old one came back to his father, his fellows, to Jared, and they came down from the mountain, and Jared was with them, and they stayed by a fountain of water near the houses of the children of Cain, and they waited for their companions until he brought the garment of Jared. Then he who went back to the cave put out the lamp, came to them, and brought an apparition with him, and showed it to them. And when Jared saw, he wondered at the beauty and the grace thereof, and rejoiced in his heart, believing it was true. But while they were staying there, 3 of them went into the houses of the sons of Cain and said to them, "Bring us today some food by the fountain of water for us and our companions to eat." But when the sons of Cain saw them, they were in awe of them and thought, "These men are beautiful to look at, and we have never seen such before." So they rose and came with them to the fountain of water to see their companions. And they thought them so very handsome that they called about their places for others to gather together and come and look at these beautiful beings. Then they gathered around them, both men and women, right? Okay. Then the old one said to them, "We are strangers in your land. Bring us some good food and drink, and bring yourselves and your women, so we can entertain and refresh ourselves with you." And when those men heard these words of the old one, every one of Cain's sons brought his wife, and another brought his daughter, and so many women came to them, everyone calling out to Jared, either for himself or for his wife. So let's go back, rewind the tape. The 3 angels came to Abraham. Same situation. They didn't do this. Michael, Gabriel, Uriel came to Abraham. He ain't try to. He didn't say nothing to Sarah. Okay, so anyway, when these men heard these words of the old man, everyone of Cain's sons brought his wife, and another brought his daughter, and so many women came to them, everyone calling out to Jared, either for himself or for his wife. But when Jared saw what they did, here you go, his very soul wrenched itself from them, and he would not taste their food or their drink. The old one saw him as he wrenched himself from them, and said to him, Do not be sad. I am the great elder, and you should see me. You shall see me do, or Michaela. I am the great elder. As you see me do yourself in like manner." Then he spread his hands and he took one of the women. So we know what took means. And 5 of his companions did the same in front of Jared, that he should do as they did. But when Jared saw them doing their wickedness, he wept. And he said in his mind, "My father never acted like this." And he then spread his hands and prayed with a fervent heart and with much weeping, and begged God to deliver him from their hands. No sooner did Jared begin to pray that the old one fled with his companions, for they could not abide in the place of prayer. So here we go, right here. That's what we're talking about, that we don't know. So it said, no sooner than Jared began to pray, than the old one fled with his companions, for they could not abide in the place of prayer. I've been telling you this over and over again. So we dealing with the same wicked ass spirits. We dealing with them today. Well, they've been taken out of the equation, but they still there. So We can't even, the average person can't even identify when they in their presence. So he says that no sooner did Jared begin to pray than the old one fled with his companions. For they could not abide in the place of prayer. Then Jared turned around but could not see them. See, they gone. But found himself standing in the midst of the children of Cain. He then wept and said, "O God, do not destroy me with this race. Do not destroy me with this race, concerning which my fathers have warned me. For now, my Lord God, I was thinking that those who are, so let me go back right quick. He says, Jared. For now, my Lord God, they go to Lord God. You that same one when Moses got the backside of the desert. I'm showing you here on the mountain. He wasn't on the mountain when Moses got there on accident. It's the same mountain. So anyway, I was thinking that those who appeared to me were my forefathers, but I have found them out to be devils who lured me by the way of this beautiful apparition until I believed them. So let's look at it. Jared said, but I have found them out to be devils who lured me. So ain't that what he said? He beguiled me. Same thing. See that? And we saw what he done. He sprayed his hands around the women and slept with them. So if you think he didn't sleep with Eve, you're not lucky. So anyway, but now I ask you, oh God, to deliver me from this race, among whom I am now staying, as you did deliver me from those devils. Send your angel to pull me out of the middle of them, and do not have this power within myself to escape from among them. And when Jared had ended his prayer, God sent his angel into the middle of them, and he took Jared and sent him up on the mountain and showed him the way. And he gave him wise advice, and then departed from him. Okay, then chapter 18. Then the children of Jared were in the habit of visiting him hour after hour to receive his blessings and to ask his advice for everything they did. And when he had work to do, they did it for him. But this time, when they went into the cave, they did not find Jared, but they found the lamp put out and the bodies of his fathers thrown about. The voices came from them by the power of God that said, Satan is an apparition as deceived our son, wishing to destroy him, and as he destroyed our son Cain. Okay, they said also, Lord God of heaven and earth, deliver our son from the hands of Satan, who produced such a great and false specter before him. They also spoke of other matters by the power of God. But when the children of Jared heard these voices, they feared and stood weeping for their father, because they did not know what had happened to him. And they wept for him that day until the setting of the sun. Then Jared came with a mournful expression, miserable in mind and body, and sorrowful in having been separated from the bodies of his fathers. But as he came near the cave, his children saw him and ran to the cave and hugged his neck, crying and saying to him, O Father, where have you been, and why have you left us? Because we know that you did not want to. And they spoke again, saying, Father, when you disappeared, the lamp over the bodies of our fathers went out, and the bodies was thrown about, and voices came from them. And when Jared heard this, he was sorry, and went into the cave, and there found the bodies thrown about. There found the bodies thrown about, and the lamp put out, and the fathers themselves praying for his deliverance from the hand of Satan. Then Jared fell upon the bodies, braced them, and said, My fathers, through your intercession, God delivered me from the hands of Satan. I beg you to ask God to keep me and to hide me from him to the day of my death. And then all the voices ceased except the voice of his father Adam, who spoke to Jared by the power of God, just as one would speak to his friend, saying, Jared, my son, offer gifts to God for having delivered you from the hand of Satan. And when you bring those offerings, offer them on the same altar on which I gave offerings. Even then, you must beware of Satan, for he deluded me many times with his specters, wishing to destroy me, but God delivered me out of his hand. Command your people that be on guard against him and never cease to offer up gifts to God. Then the voice of Adam also became silent, and Jared and his children wondered at this. Then they laid the bodies as they were at first, and Jared and his children stood praying the entire night until break of day. Then Jared made an offering and offered it up on the altar as Adam had commanded him, and he went up to the altar. He prayed to God for mercy and for forgiveness of his sins concerning the lamp going out. Then God appeared to Jared on the altar and blessed him and his children and accepted their offering and commanded Jared to take of the sacrifice fire from the altar and light the lamp that shed light on the bodies of Adam. Okay, this is the last chapter. I'll read this last chapter. It says, then God again revealed to him the promise he had made to Adam. He explained to him 5,500 years and revealed to him the mystery of his coming to the earth. And God said to Jared, let that fire that you have taken from the altar to light the lamp abode with you to give light to the bodies, and do not let it come out of the cave until the body of Adam comes out. But Jared, take care of the fire so that it burns brightly in the lamp, and do not go out of the cave again until you receive an order through a vision and not in an apparition. Okay? Then command your people again not to have relations with the children of Cain and not to learn their ways, for I am God who does not love hatred and works of iniquity. God also gave many other commandments to Jared, and he blessed them and then withdrew his word from him. Then Jared came near to his children, took some fire, came down to the cave, and lighted the lamp in front of the bodies of Adam. Then he gave his people the commandments, just as God had told him to do. This sign happened to Jared at the end of 450 years, as did many other wonders we did not record, but we record only this one for the sake of the brevity to shorten our written account. And Jared continued to teach his children 80 years, but after that they began to break the commandments he had given them and to do many things without his permission. They began to go down from the holy mountain one after another and mix with the children of Cain in obscene association. Now the reason why the children of Jared went down the holy mountain will now be revealed to you. After Cain had gone down to the land of dark soil, his children had multiplied, and there was one of them whose name was Gonan, son of Lamech, the blind, who slew Cain. Satan came to go to Tubal, his childhood, in his childhood, and made a variety of trumpets and horns, stringed instruments, cymbals and pastries, and lyres and harps and flutes. And Gonan played, and Tubal played them at all times, at every hour. And when he played them, Satan came to them, so that from among them were heard beautiful and sweet sounds that seized the heart with delight. Then he gathered many crowds to play on them, and when they played displayed, it greatly pleased the children of Cain, who fanned themselves with flames of sin among themselves, and they burned with fire, while Satan inflamed their hearts with one another, and lust increased among them. Satan also taught Tubal to make strong drink out of corn, and Tubal used this to bring together crowds upon crowds in houses of drink, and he brought into their hands all kinds of fruits and flowers, and they drank together. And Tubal did this to multiply sin greatly. He also acted with pride, and he taught the children of Cain to commit all manner of grossness, wickedness, which he did not know until then, and he put them up to all kinds of deeds which they did not know before. Then when Satan saw that they obeyed Tubal and listened to him in everything that he told them, he rejoiced greatly, and he increased Tubal's understanding until he took iron and with it made weapons of war. Then when they were drunk, hatred and murder increased among them. One man would use violence against another, and Satan would teach him evil in that one man would take the other man's children and defile them before him. And when men saw that they were vanquished and saw that others were not beaten, those who were beaten came to Tubal and took refuge with him, and he made them part of his group. Then sin increased among them greatly until a man married his own sister, or his daughter, or his mother, or others, or the daughters of his father's sister, first cousin, so that there was no more distinction of the relationship, and they could no longer discern what was sin and what was not, but always were wicked, and the earth was defiled with sin, and they argued, and they angered God, the judge, who had created them. But Tubal gathered together groups that played on horns and on all other instruments we already mentioned at the foot of the holy mountain. And they did that so that the children of Seth, who were on the holy mountain, would hear it. But when the children of Seth heard the noise, they wandered and came by companies and stood on top of the mountain to look at those below. This went on for an entire year. At the end of that year, Tubal saw that they were being won over to him little by little, and Satan entered into him and taught him to make the elements of dyeing garments of various patterns, and made him understand how to dye crimson and purple and whatnot. And the sons of Cain, who worked at all this, shone in beauty and glorious apparel, and they gathered together at the foot of the mountain in splendor, with horns and gorgeous dresses and horse races, and they were committing all manner of gross acts. Meanwhile, the children of Seth, who were on the holy mountain, prayed and praised God in the place of the host of angels who had fallen. God had called them angels because he rejoiced over them greatly. But after this time, they no longer kept his commandments, nor were held by the promise he had made to their fathers, but they relaxed from their fasting and praying, and from the counsel of Jared their father, and they kept on gathering together on the top of the mountain to watch the children of Cain from morning until evening, and they watched what they did, and they looked at their beautiful dresses and the ornaments. Then the children of Cain looked up from below and saw the children of Seth standing in number on top of the mountain, and they called to them to come down to them. But from above them, the children of Seth said, "We do not know the way." Then Tubal, the son of Lamech, heard them say they did not know the way, and he began to think to himself of ways he might bring them down. Then Satan appeared to him by night, saying, "There is a way for them to come down from the part of the mountain which they live. But when they came out tomorrow to watch, say to them, come to the western side of the mountain. There you shall find a stream of water that comes down to the foot of the mountain between two hills that marks the way. Come down that way to us. Then when it was day, Tubal blew the horn and beat the drums below the mountain as he was accustomed to do, and the children of Self heard it and came as they used to do. Then Tubal said to them from down below, go to the western side of the mountain, there you will find a way to come down. But when the children of Self heard these words from them, they went back into the cave to Jared to tell him all they had heard. And then when Jared heard it, he was grieved because he knew that they would defy his wishes. And after this, 100 men of the children of Self gathered together and said among themselves, come, let us go down to the children of Cain and see what they do and enjoy ourselves with them. But when Jared heard this of the 100 men, his very soul was moved and his heart was grieved. He then stood with great emotion in the middle of them and honestly compelled them by the blood of Abel, the just, and said, let no one of you go down from this holy mountain, this holy and pure mountain, in which our fathers have ordered us to live. But when Jared saw that they did not listen to his words, he said to them, my good, innocent, and holy children, you must understand that once you go down from the holy mountain, God will not allow you to return again. He again adjured them, saying, I plead with you by the death of our father Adam and by the blood of Abel, Seth, Enos, and of Canaan and Mahalalel to listen to me and do not go down this mountain, because the moment you leave, life and mercy will be taken from you, and you shall no longer be called the children of God, but the children of death. But they would not listen to his words. Enoch was already grown up at that time, and in his zeal for God, he stood and said, hear me, you large and small, young and old, sons of Seth. When you transgress the commandments of your father and go down from this mountain, you shall not come up here ever. It says, you shall not come up here ever. But they arose, hold on 1 minute. It says, but they did not listen to his words. Enoch was already read that. But they rose up against Enoch and would not listen to his words. But they went down from the holy mountain. And when they looked at the children of the daughter of Cain and their beautiful figures and their hands and their feet dyed with colors and the tattoos on their faces, they ornamented them. The fire of sin was set ablaze in them. So let me go back. I want to show you something right quick. Verse 30. But they rose up against Enoch, right? They rose up against Enoch and would not listen to his words, but they went down from the holy mountain. Now here we go. And when they looked at the daughters of Cain, check it out. When they looked at the daughter of Cain and their beautiful figures, right? And their hands and their feet dyed with color. What's that? Their fingernails and their toes painted. Let that frame it. So they got this from the fallen angel. And when they looked at the daughters of Cain and their beautiful figures and their hands and their feet dyed with color. That's the nail painted, the toenail painted, okay? And the tattoos on their faces that ornamented them, the fire of sin was set ablaze in them. Then Satan made them look most beautiful before the sons of Seth. And he also made the sons of Seth appear most beautiful unto their eyes, the daughters of Cain, so that the daughters of Cain lusted after the sons of Seth, like ravenous beasts. And the sons of Seth lusted after the daughters of Cain until they committed disgusting and disgraceful acts with them. But after they had fallen into the defilement, they returned. So after they even got busy, now they want to go back on top of the mountain. See, but after they had fallen into their defilement, they returned by the way they had come and tried to ascend the holy mountain, uh, but they could not. They stepped the stones that the holy mountain were on fire, flashing before them and prevented them so that they could not go up again. And God was angry with them and turned from them because they had come down from glory, and because of this had lost and forsaken their own purity, innocence, and were fallen into defilement. Then God sent his word to Jared saying, these are your children, whom you once called my children, have broken my commandments and have gone down to the house of the damnation and sin, sending messages to those that are left, so that they will not go down to and lost. Then Jared wept before the Lord, asked him for mercy and forgiveness, but he wished that his soul might depart from his body rather than to hear these words from God about his children that went down from the holy mountain. But he followed God's orders, preached Melchizedek to them not to go down from the holy mountain and not to hold relations with the children of Cain. But they did not listen to his message, and they would not obey his advice. So like I said before, nothing new under the sun. Didn't the same thing happen in the garden? They sinned in the garden and found themselves outside the garden. They was in
Yes, sir.
Jerusalem. They was in Jerusalem, sinned. And that's why we over where we are today. So, but we don't know this story right here. They sinned on the top of the mountain, Mount Horeb, and then was cast out. And then so the same Lord of hosts came and got these Jared and them descendants after the flood and brought them to the land of Canaan. He the one went and did the 10 plagues and brought them again to Garden Eden, the land of Canaan, because that's the Garden Eden. And then they sinned again and was kicked out of the land, kicked out of Israel. Just like they were kicked off his mountain, just like they were kicked out of the garden. Okay? So let that front matter. Any comments or questions?
Shalom, everyone. As you were reading and as the events were, you know, duplicating itself, it's just brought to mind of the New Testament. And again, it was hoodwinked for as false idols. And as JC being a false idol, false God, because they're worshiping him with cross, um, pictures, you know, and the stiff necks of our ancestors adapted. And as we're going down to know about the New Testament, which flipped us into the things that he said not to do, even though they have all this turn the other cheek and all those things that keep you bound worshiping and praising and recognizing JC. And
Right.
that's another hoodwink thing going on. And another thing was listening to, and it brought to mind how Satan will flee when you pray. And and within that praying and praising the Lord of hosts, not JC, not any other gods, but only the Lord of hosts, because Satan knows the Lord of hosts, but the other ones he made others to worship, those idols. So you can pray to those idols, he'll still be around. But once you pray to the Lord of hosts, he will free out of your presence. And um, another thing that I looked at as you were reading, how the spirits can get into the flesh and hoodwink you. These spirits are not dormant anymore as they were with the giants. As the giants are down and some of those spirits was dormant, now they're all coming out. And in the face of Black Rock here, with trying to have people wanting the gold and um, wanting to, do whatever they can to stay on top because they know the dollar is falling, and then how they are in the White House right now, fear-mongering and doing those things that makes others lose or have doubt in their mind that this I need to do something because physically I have to do something, but not knowing that the Lord of hosts, like you said, has us already, and by praying, those spirits will flee away from you, and if enough get together. And again, I know I'm rattling with more things, but when you were speaking on the churches, now the churches, like you said, they don't get together and talk. Well, here they are in the New Testament, getting them together, but putting them underneath a roof and bringing them, making tithes and all of that. So they're getting them together in a different way. They're not looking at their elders and sitting down and learning scripture from the Tanakh, the Torah. They're learning from the New Testament in a building, amongst others that they're um, praising and worshiping in JC. So that's what I got out of it. If
Okay.
any of those things I've said was not totally clear to me, if you see anything, could you let me know?
Okay. Anybody else? No more comments? Anybody else have any comments? Okay. We're gonna pick a scripture and break it down. Then we'll close out. Anybody got a scripture they wanna shine a light on?
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Brother Leonard, can I read out of Ezekiel chapter 36, please, sir, verses 21 through 28?
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 21. But I had pity for my name, for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither I went. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith the Lord God, I do not this for your sake, O house of Israel, but for mine holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither you went. Verse 23, and I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, saith the Lord God, which I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land. 25. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. 27. And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgments and do them. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your God. That was Ezekiel chapter 36, verses 1 through 28, 21 through 28. Shalom.
Yeah, okay. So reading what was just read in Book of Enoch, Book of Adam and Eve, it elevates what you just read, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, that's some serious information that's missing in the story. We don't know nothing about what happened to our forefathers. Okay. So with that being said, anybody else got anything else before we go? Any comments or anything they want to bring something light on? Okay.
Shalom. Shalom, everyone. In the book of Daniel's, when he talks about that place in heaven that Enoch saw, that was for those Satan's angels that were doing those things, that they would be, cast in there and suspended in there forever. That was Daniel 7 and 9. Shalom.
Okay. Can you read that?
Yes, sir. Thrones were set in place, and the Ancient Days took his seat. His clothing was as white as snow. The hair of his head was white like wool. His throne was flaming with fire, and his wheels were all ablaze. A river of fire was flowing, coming out from before him. Thousands upon thousands attended him. Then 10 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated with the books were open. Then I continued to watch because of the boastfulness words of the horn was speaking. I kept looking until the beast was slain and his body destroyed and thrown into the blazing fire. This was Enoch asking Uriel about that mountain when he was taking them around to see all the different places in heaven. And he asked about that one mountain with the burning flame and what was that about, and he was afraid of it. And he explained to him that the Lord of hosts was putting them in that particular heaven forever. This is out of the book of the Giants.
Okay. Okay. Anybody
Shalom.
else got anything before we go? Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and I'll see everybody tomorrow. I'm not gonna be on the line tonight, so I'll see everybody tomorrow at 5 o'clock tomorrow evening for our Sunday Shabbat class. Okay. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom,
Shalom,
everyone.
everyone.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.